Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we have currently attached on here, and the question is... Well, first off, I want to have Bill EVA here, and I want to just get these parachutes repacked. That is the reason that we brought Bill along, after all, and we're just going to repack all of these chutes, like so. The next question is... Are we going to try to bring these back attached? Just how bad is our center of mass lineup here? I'm willing to bet it's pretty bad. So I think if we were to attempt, like, if we control from here, if we were to attempt to flip this around to retrograde and burn like this, my question is, A, would these engines fire up? And B, just how much would we get? Now, I think... the specific impulse here is 330 seconds, and for here it's 350. So if we're going to burn this, we want to burn it with the Poodle. That's some more efficient engines for this, so that would be great. If we were to look to bring these back simultaneously-ish, then we would look to... Well, first off, we would need to set Kerbin as our target. Apparently we're focusing Eve. We would set Kerbin as our target. And we're a little bit off on our ascending-descending node. That's fine. We'd bring this back and see what that would end up looking like. That's not too bad. We can do a burn... Well, maybe not even there. A burn something kind of like this. But a little later. Yeah. Something kind of like that. We can bring that in and fine-tune that a little bit. Honestly... this is reasonably fine. We don't need to really worry too much about the inclination of this. Just bring it in to be around... We may actually have to adjust the inclination to bring that down. Yeah, that's fine. Around here. This would be good. Now, the question then becomes, how much does this push off? Because we're off the center of mass. That I don't know. We're going to go ahead and warp forward here. That's going to be a 140-day warp, but that's okay. Because we're going to want to separate these out and land them separately, I think. We probably don't want to land them at the same time. So we're going to bring this in. I want to burn with the Poodle if we can. I'm going to be kind of careful about it. Because I'm a little bit concerned if we full bore it that we're just going to start spinning kind of uncontrollably. We'll see how true that is. We'll bring that in 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to warp a little further here. But actually, no, we should not be warping right now. We should be turning right now. There we go. We'll align to that burn. And we'll just get that maneuver node set up. Cool. And we'll warp a little further. But let's see how much we turn here. Yeah, I thought that might end up being the case. So we're just going to have to do this a little bit more carefully here. And we'll probably have to fine-tune this in the end. Yeah. And this is just because we're not pointing directly at the center of mass, right? We're off center of mass here, and so it's trying to pull up to the side. I'm going to see how this goes with physics warp. Poorly is the answer. Okay. Well, here we are. It looks like this is pretty close to the limit of what we can handle. I'm just turning this up little by little. Even that's fine. Actually, we're fine to be at full. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to have to adjust our final orbit. There's no doubt about that, because we are off the center and we're wobbling, but we'll see what that ends up looking like. If it's close enough, it's close enough. So, we'll bring that down. And then we'll try to circularize a bit, but we'll see how that goes. How's that? Honestly, that's good enough. I don't care about us coming in with a polar orbit here. I think that's fine. And a retrograde burn at this point to try to circularize that a bit would be a decent chunk of delta V, but not too bad, all things considered. This looks very doable. So that is fantastic. We will continue to break that a bit until we get down to a little further. We need to adjust the timing of this. Right about there. That would do. And then from there, we can just toss like half of our fuel into these tanks, and both of these would be able to get back with no problem. So that would be fine, half of the remaining fuel. We've got a decent chunk of it. So yeah, this'll do. We'll align for that. That burn will be in 272 days. So this will be a little bit more of a warp, but that's okay. We do know at this point that we're not too bad as far as our center of mass goes. We're off. There's no doubt about that. We're definitely off the center of mass, but it's nothing our gimbaling and reaction wheels currently can't handle. It gets us a little bit off in terms of our final trajectory, but that's fine. We only need very rough burns here. No fine-tuning is really happening at this point. So that'll be great. We are on our way home. Thanks for the assistance, Bill. It was much appreciated. So we've got about 80 days left in this time warp, and we're just cruising. You can see here we're moving a little quickly, but we're only going to have to bring this down by about 1 kilometer per second. So honestly, in the stream day before yesterday, well, by the time this is coming out, day before the day before yesterday, in the stream then, we came in a lot faster than this without a heat shield. So it should be reasonably fine. Hi, Kerbin. You are very slow to load in. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to begin this burn shortly, here in about 50 seconds. It seemed like it maybe worked better when I throttled up slowly, but let's give it full bore right away and see what ends up happening. So 20 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. Yeah, it recovers it. So that'll do for now. We are now officially in orbit around Kerbin and slowing down dramatically. So that's fantastic. Now we cannot physics warp while we're doing this because we're too far off the center of mass. So we're just going to have to burn here for the moment, and then we'll transfer about half of the remaining fuel, which isn't a lot, but it should be enough to get this done. We may just transfer enough to run these 4 pugs. That might be an interesting option. I wonder how much delta V that would be, or how much burn time that would be, really. That would be fascinating. Probably sufficient, if I'm honest. Maybe a bit slow on the descent, but probably sufficient, considering we just need to drop our periapsis like 10 kilometers. Well, 15. But even so, that's really not bad. We're going to be moving quite slowly by the time we get there. Yeah, this seems to be just fine. 15 seconds left of burn here. 10 seconds left. Fantastic. About another 70 meters per second. And I'm going to cut our engines here fairly soon. Okay, that's probably good. Yeah, that's close enough. So at this point, I'm going to pin open each of these, and we're just stopping this tumble a little bit. But we'll pin all of these open, and then grab this guy, and let's get all of those filled up. Now, that transfer process is slow. Okay, I was definitely expecting that to be a little faster than this, but sure. There we go. Got that all fueled up. 15 seconds of burn, 314 meters per second. That should be good. So at this point, Bill has done his job. And we're going to bring Bill home. So we'll release our advanced grabbing unit. And off goes Bill. Cool. We'll flip around to retrograde, and we can see we've got lots of delta V left here. I don't want these to all be in the same stage. Let's move that down. Okay. And with that done, let's bring Bill on home. It's going to be basically twilight the entire way because we're in a polar orbit, which is kind of entertaining, actually. We're pretty close to the Terminator line. That's neat. I like that. We've also got a bit of an eclipse lining up, but that's fine. So let's just burn this at this point until our apoapsis is about 30 kilometers. Or rather, our periapsis. That's 23 right there. So this is more than enough, and that's all we needed. So for right now, I think we just ditch that, and let's warp. Let's bring Bill home as quickly as we can. We don't need to have this armed, but it's not like that's actually a problem. Okay, let's physics warp this. We probably want to have the drogue chute separate. There we go. And down we go. Bill should have a pretty quick and easy route home. We've got this heat shield here. It's the others that I'm actually a little more concerned about. They don't really have much for a heat shield at all. But we'll see how that goes. We'll just go for probably a shallower descent trajectory for them. Maybe like 40 kilometers. And I should have moved more fuel in because we did eject a lot of fuel there, but that would have been slightly more efficient. It's fine. I'm sure they'll be okay. So, Bill is already decelerating. That's expected. This is extremely easy to decelerate, this type of capsule. And I actually want to be in surface velocity here. There we go. Surface retrograde. And down comes Bill. He is now below 2 kilometers per second. Well, not now, but now he's below 2 kilometers per second. And we're just about through the most dangerous portion of this. Down to 1.6. 1.3. Down below 1 kilometer per second. Cool. Drogues out. And we'll continue our physics warp. Mains out. And Bill is fine. We'll land perfectly safely here. We've got about 7 kilometers to fall. But then we'll recover Bill and head on back to get the Duna mission done. Cool. So about 27 meters per second now. And the mains will deploy here in another 300 meters. And it'll just be a little slow down to the surface, but that's fine. No problem whatsoever here. SAS does not need to be on anymore, that's for sure. Yeah, this is where we're very grateful for 4x physics warp. That's for sure. This would be 4 times as painful of a process without it. We're only moving at about 4 meters per second, so we've got about 100 seconds to fall here. So actually about 25 in physics warp. So that's great. 200 meters to fall. 100 meters. And Bill is home. Welcome home, Bill. We'll recover that, and we're not going to immediately send him back out. But what we are going to do is we are going to hop into the tracking station and bring home our Duna mission. This one is going to be maybe a little bit more spicy. So, let's take a quick look. I'm just trying to think through how I want to bring them back. I'm going to hop into the tracking station here. And we can grab the Duna lander here, which is currently orbiting Kerbin, as we fully expected. And that is... Let's see how much delta V it actually has. 345. Okay, we're going to go into orbital retrograde here. And we are going to bring down our periapsis here until that's at about 40. And then I think we're going to not have our chutes here. Let's see. These are drogues. And then our mains we would want to have here. There we go. So That's a main chute there. Cool. So we're going to bring this down to about 40 kilometers. What just happened? One of these flamed out? That's weird. Well, let's bring that down to about 40 kilometers. They all seem to be fine, actually. That's way too low. I'm actually going to flip it around because we have no heat shield on this. We might be able to survive that, but I'm going to bring this back up to around 40. Okay, that's good. And then we'll do a braking burn at the periapsis. But, well, not at the periapsis. I doubt we reach the periapsis. But once we get that braking burn done, we'll separate this and we'll land just this stack. So that'll be good. This whole time, we never re-extended our photovoltaic panels. That's funny. We've actually been operating on battery charge this whole time. Well, I suppose when we linked up, that had a solar panel on it, so we were able to charge up that way. Fair enough. So we're going to bring this on in. And we're going to hit the atmosphere soon. Once we hit the atmosphere, are we going to do an additional braking burn? I don't know. For now, I think we'll wait until we start to see heating effects, but not gauges. Okay. So we're not going to hit this periapsis, I'm pretty sure. We're not coming back out. That's very clear. This is our final approach. We're coming down a little bit darker than the other one did, but that's okay. It's very dramatic lighting here right now, actually. Okay, we're getting a good amount of aero brake. But we're still moving relatively quickly. You can see here, though, we are slowing down as we're approaching the periapsis. That is an excellent sign. Okay, now we're starting to see some heating effects, so I'm going to burn off the last little bit of fuel that we've got here. Just to slow us down a bit. There we go. And we're going to need to ditch our side tanks. That's for sure. There we go. Cool. So off go our side tanks, and this should be easier to slow down. I want to make sure that we have everything that we can collected up here, because these bits may burn off. They very well may. We'll see how that goes. We're not moving tremendously quickly, and we're not tremendously low in the atmosphere, but it is potentially low enough. I am going to retract this ladder, because I think that's causing a lot of this nonsense. Yeah. That's a lot more easy to look at. Fantastic. And I think this is bits in... Or actually, that's the container module itself, isn't it? The container module is completely fine to use as an ablative heat shield here. It's empty, and losing that isn't a problem. Losing the Science Junior would make me a little sad. I'm not going to lie, but it's okay. We're slowing down nicely. We're not all that low in the atmosphere right now. To be at 1.9 kilometers per second at this point, that's pretty good. Yep, that goes. That was fully expected. This service bay or the Science Junior would be the next things to go. We'll see if that ends up happening, but we are beginning to slow down quite dramatically. We're down to 1.9. And we do have ablation on this as well, so that's fine. Even if we lose all of this, we're not going to lose the actual capsule. Which is the important part. Okay, we just switched over to surface mode. That's fine. This is going to burn off very shortly. But we're down to 1.7. 1.6. Heat levels are dropping now. I don't think we're going to lose anything else. Just losing that cargo bay is ideal. I shouldn't have dropped the heat shield on that on Duna, but lessons learned. Yeah, we're good now. Our heat is fine. So we're going to get our drogue chutes out very soon here. Cool. We're good. Who needs heat shields anyway? Drogue chutes out, and that will be followed by mains. Any moment now. There we go. Okay, and let's head on down. We're going to be landing in the sea, it looks like. But, yeah, that worked very well. Just using that cargo container as an ablative heat shield. I like it. So we'll be landing here in the sea pretty shortly. You can see that it's going to be a bit nighttime, but that's fine. A nice nighttime splashdown. Mains are going to be deploying now, and we're going down at about 5 meters per second. So that's all good, and that is our Duna mission completed. All we need to do now, apparently, is bring the Duna stone back. Did we complete the other contracts? Maybe, but I don't think so. Maybe docking it up completed it somehow. Oh, they might have transferred some of them over to the other one that we landed. That might have been what happened. Some of the experiments might have been transferred over to Bill's pod. Well, let's bring this down, and that should bring the Duna stone back. Yeah, returned from the surface of Duna. There's 47 there. We may just have to recover it. Let's recover that, and that should get us our Duna stone, in theory. And that should get all of those contracts cleaned up. I think. We'll double check that once we get in here. Any moment now. Okay. So that's a bunch of science and a bunch of funds. And contract complete. Duna stone retrieved. Fantastic. So, yeah, I think that Bill's pod ended up counting for some of those. But we have no active contracts, which is exactly what we wanted, because at this point, we can finish up our mover and go get ourselves our big asteroid. So that would be amazing. So we would open up our... Let's see here. What was that? Our large asteroid tank. This guy. And get that into orbit. That is, however, a job for next episode, and we'll get that done and get our mover finished up in the next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, GG Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to join the channel, or support the channel rather, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.